I'm going to let Dara take over.
All right. Hi, guys. I will screen share in a minute, and hopefully that will go well. I'm never great at this stuff. But Megan pretty much did more of as much of an introduction as I would have done, if not more. I signed up to be a coach in January of 2014. So coming up on 2.5 years. Where is this year gone, by the way? I feel like it should be like just happened 2 years, and now we're already almost to June. I'm due May 24th with baby number 4. And yeah, I'm definitely busy. I think, we're all busy in different ways, but being a mom of, a 4-year-old and 2.5-year-old boys is definitely its own kind of busy. I'm going to start screen sharing. I don't feel like I do a lot perfectly in this business, but I do feel like one of the things I do really well is keeping my priorities and growing this business. We say, yeah, you can work this business in the cracks and crevices of your life. But I feel like I'm actually good at doing that, and keeping it in the cracks and crevices of my life and not letting it take over. And so my unofficial name of this call is How to Watch Netflix and Still Grow a Thriving Business. I was kind of freaked out when I first became a coach, because, there's sacrifices involved and there are. And some of the top coaches, they're probably not watching as much TV as I am. And good for them, because they are doing huge things in their business, and I respect and admire that. But right now, my downtime, my Netflix time with my husband at night after the kids go to bed, that's really important to me. And so the point is, it's whether it's Netflix or grabbing coffee with friends or spending more time with your kids, I want to show you and tell you how I run a successful business and still keep my family a priority, and keep my fun stuff, keep my downtime a priority. That's, again, just really important to me. And so I kind of realized early on, as I'm sure some of you have, that it is very easy for Beachbody to take over your life, whether you're attached to your phone all the time, whether you feel like you have to answer messages instantly. This is the kind of business where, as much freedom as there can be, you could also be very chained, and there's always something more you could do, right? I mean, you could always talk to one more person. You could always send one more message. So where do you set those boundaries? So I kind of just, again, realized early on I was going to have to set some boundaries and figure out how to make this work. So early on, I refused to let Beachbody take over my life. I refuse to let it get me too stressed out and overwhelmed. There's always going to be points of stress, and I definitely get overwhelmed sometimes. But the key word is too stressed out and overwhelmed. I refuse to not let this business still be a hobby and something fun. Now, again, I can't always treat it like a hobby, but time-wise, I want it to stay a hobby. And I refused to sacrifice the mothering and nurturing and training of my children and my marriage. I just wasn't going, even if it was a short term, 1 year, I'm going to give everything up. And I just wasn't willing even to give 1 year to just this business and ignore everything else. So I had to figure out how to grow at a rate I was comfortable with, and, still set some good goals, but maintain a good life balance. So my 10 how-tos for achieving balance start with number 1. You absolutely have to align your goals with your priorities. And I think people get goals and priorities confused, or not confused. I think they think they're the same things, but they're not. I just Googled the difference between goals and priorities, and I found this really cool article from a website called Profit Builders. I didn't even get the guy's name, but sorry. He says, you must come up with a personal strategy to reach your big goals in a way that supports your priorities and the lifestyle you want to live without sacrificing what matters most. I think you could just, read that a few times over before it really sinks in. Gosh, I'm so sorry. But he also goes on to say, if you are encountering resistance while attempting to reach certain goals or performing certain tasks, chances are it's either something you really don't want to be doing or you are operating from someone else's agenda. How often do we set goals based on other people's goals and feel like we need to also have those goals because that's what this person is? So sorry, I had to interrupt the thought. He goes on to say, the bottom line is these goals don't support your priorities, and you'll continue to feel off throughout your pursuit of these misaligned goals. Take the time to align your goals with your priorities. Otherwise, you'll feel confined or powerless to make changes, allowing situations, circumstances, or other people to influence or control you. Discover what you truly want by aligning your goals with your priorities in your life. I know that was a lot of words. And I know if you're like Megan, you're visual and you're just like, yeah, I have no idea what she just said. But maybe go back because there was so much good stuff in there. But the bottom line is he's saying, like, if you have these priorities of keeping your family first or your relationship with God, or, maybe you have another job that kind of still needs to maintain your priority, you have to set up your Beachbody goals in a way that supports those priorities, So that's all he's saying. And if you don't, you're going to feel very pulled. You're going to feel, I love that. He says you're going to feel powerless to do anything right. And I'm sure we've all felt that way. You stretch yourself so thin that you're not being effective anywhere. And that is what we don't want. So that was my big number one. You have to align your goals with your priorities, and they're not the same thing. So figure out the difference, set your priorities first, then make goals based on those priorities. The next few are a lot more practical. You have to know what you need to do and when you're going to do it. What do you need to do to be successful in this business? I was just with another coach earlier today, and we talked about the book, Eat That Frog. What are the things that are actually going to earn you profit in this business? Focus your time on those. So what are those things? And then when are you going to do it? Take some time on a Sunday, or maybe it's a Saturday or the Friday, to look at the next week ahead and plan what you need to accomplish. I know organization doesn't come easily or naturally to all of us, but if you want to be successful in a limited amount of time, an hour a day, truly an hour a day, I know we talk about that, then you have to be organized. There's just no way around it. So you need to make your lists of people you're going to connect with, invite, your to-do lists, your follow-up lists. You need to have those lists ready to go. And I'm preaching to the choir. I'm not that organized every week, but it was good to remember, yeah, I probably should do that. Number 3 is then you actually have to do it. You can plan and research, and I know some of you probably do this, and some of you have coaches on your own teams that are like this. They do all the research, they know all the right things to do, but then you actually have to do it. You have to just take the time, be disciplined, and do it. It's not really much more I can say on that. You have to be consistent. Like Megan said, she has always praised me for my consistency, and I do agree. I think it's one of my things I've done right in this business. I really have found that I don't need to do a million things to succeed. Again, as you guys know, it can be overwhelming, the different ideas and platforms and just ways you can succeed in this business. And that's a good thing. How great is it that there are so many different ways to succeed? But you need to figure out, again, the things you're good at and do those things consistently. And not just the things you're good at, the things that are going to move your business forward. So for me, those are, again, you've got to create that brand. You've got to attract people to you. So posting on social media daily. I try to connect with 10 new people weekly. 10 is a low number, to be honest. I've thought about challenging myself to do more, but again, where I'm at in my business, that seems to work for me. If you're a new coach, that number probably needs to be way higher. Or if you're not seeing results, that number probably needs to be way higher. So don't use my numbers. Figure out what your numbers need to be, but connect with new people weekly. I answer my Beachbody related messages daily. Again, when you're doing connections, you're going to be having dialogue with people about all kinds of other things. Those aren't always the priority. You know, I have to make the Beachbody challenge group or coach messages a priority. Read personal development daily. Listen to a training call weekly. Again, there's so many great calls out there. I think that can even get overwhelming. But whether it's your own team call, because Megan actually does trainings on her calls. Good for you, Megan. You'll hear more about what I do for my team. But the Bombshell Dynasty call, the National Wake Up Call, man, there's so much good information. Try to at least listen to one of those a week. And then you need to be running one group monthly. Whether that's with Megan or ideally on your own or with another member of your team, you have to have that consistency. Again, in the beginning, it was hard to keep putting myself out there when I felt like no one wanted to join my group last month. Why would anyone want to join this month? But you have to keep trying and putting it out there and keep inviting. So I think posting about or inviting to at least one group per month is going to be very important for your business and your credibility. You must lead, not manage. And I got those keywords from a call Megan listened to, and then she shared it with me. And what that means, sorry, let me move on to my other notes. Oh, that's right here. Okay. For me, this means I can't put all my emotional eggs into one basket. I can't have one coach as a leader that I'm relying on to make all my Beachbody dreams come true. I can't let one customer who had a bad experience with customer relations bring my whole, day down because they don't like Beachbody anymore, or their Shakeology was late, or whatever. As a leader, if you have a team underneath you, you can't want it for them. You can't, again, put all your eggs into one basket, into one coach. And a lot of this leading, not manage, I think that's where I could tend to let this job stress me out, trying to control what my coaches do and worried about their success and their success club points and their rank advancements. And I've just really learned to kind of let that go. And all I can do is provide the resources and tools as best as I can. And if they're going to get it, they're going to get it. And so again, I'm just very quick to let go, forgive quickly, and keep recruiting, So that's how, there's a million other ways to be a leader, not a manager. But for me, that's what it means, just kind of emotionally letting yourself, being excited for your coaches and and this really goes the same for customers. I realized too. How many groups do you run and you do the same thing with each customer, and one customer has an amazing experience and has the transformation and all the other customers don't? Did you do anything different? No, the customer just wanted it more. The one successful one just did the work. And so again, that even if you don't have a team underneath you, the same rule applies with your customers. So keep that in mind. More organizational stuff. You have to have systems. Again, all of my systems are far from perfect, and I am, again, not the most organized coach in this organization. But you have to have a few things down. And again, whether you consider yourself organized or not, you have to figure some of this out. I think it's really important to know what you're going to do when you recruit a new coach. Me and Megan say it all the time. We don't care if you're just signed up yesterday or you're an Emerald coach and you haven't done it a lot. Know what you're going to do when you get a coach, and it should be just a simple process. Have your and Megan, I'm talking to you. Have your content saved for your challenge groups. So you can just copy and paste that right into your group. And when you feel like it, add something more personal. But again, to be successful in little increments throughout your day, you've really got to have some of this stuff streamlined. And again, and this stuff I always have my months planned out. The months don't always go as I planned. However, at least I have a plan. But, have your next month or two planned out. Know generally when that next challenge group is going to be, when you're going to be recruiting for coaches, when you're going to put a post up about your coach mentorship, whatever. Just having a few dates in mind will just make your life a lot easier, and you can't wing it too much if you're trying to be successful in a short amount of time. So number 7, this is one of my favorites. And again, something I think I'm good at. You have to identify your strengths and weaknesses and use your time accordingly. What I mean by that is I always want to be better. I definitely want to improve. I am, again, so far from being good at everything in this business. But I'm kind of the mind where I would rather spend more time doing the things I'm good at and less time doing the things I'm bad at. My favorite example is graphics. I hate making graphics, whether it's an invite to a challenge group or graphics like this for a team call. Like, I hate it and I'm not good at it. And I can spend 3 hours trying to make a graphic look amazing and it'll still come out really average looking compared to what some people are capable of. And I've embraced that. It's okay. My graphics aren't going to be great. My poor coaches, our Success Club boards are so tacky looking. But the point is, I'm not going to spend too much time on PicMonkey. It's something I'm just not that good at. And I'm not saying there aren't times for a specific post or, I might take a little more time and try to make it better. But that's my example. But don't figure out what you're good at in the business. And I think you should spend more time doing that and less time, trying to be good at something that is just, you're not as good at. Now, again, inviting stuff like that, the vital behaviors you just need to get good at, but some of again, there's so much extra stuff we can do in Beachbody, right? Don't spend too much time doing that stuff. That's what I think. You have to reevaluate often and be grateful. So in the way I do my business, I'm doing, sounds so bad when I say it out loud. I'm like doing the bare minimum to keep my business afloat and keep my income growing and keep my business growing. And I don't mean that in like, I'm not a hard worker. I'm just doing what I need to do. And I'm not worried about, again, the extra stuff. That being said, with that mindset, I do have to evaluate often. Something I like to ask myself, like, what's one thing I can implement or do better next month? But again, one thing, not 10 things, not 12 things, not even 3 things. What's one thing I could do differently next month or better? So make sure you, you do evaluate. I'm going to miss stuff when I'm moving at the pace I'm moving, when I'm just, again, doing the bare minimum. You're going to miss stuff and some important stuff. So make sure you evaluate and be grateful for this business. I know it's hard with comparisons, but man, if you can just sit back and if you're making $100 a month as a stay-at-home mom, I wasn't making anything when I started this business. So $100 a month to me was like really cool. And I was really excited about it. And, and I always just go back to that whenever I'm feeling discouraged or, tempted to compare. So that's going to be important. And for this business, no matter how quickly or slowly you want to grow. Number 9, I don't need to harp on it, but you do have to read personal development. It's a non-negotiable. This business is too hard and it gives you too many reasons to doubt not to be entrenched in personal development. And one of my favorite tips is believe in yourself and trust the process. So much just doesn't even make sense how this business works and why it works. So you have to trust that it's going to work and trust the process and trust Megan when she says, focus on hitting Success Club, focus on hitting Success Club. That's all I did my first 6 months as a coach. And for 6 months, I hit Success Club and didn't see much change. And all of a sudden, the 7-month, I hit Success Club again. Nothing well, it was actually spectacular. It was our team cup month. So it was my high Success Club month. But all of a sudden, I had coaches coming to me and I went diamond. And I promise I didn't do anything different that 7th month than I did the first 6 months. And all I focused on was hitting Success Club. So whatever the process is for you, trust it and believe in this business. I like that. Oh, that was supposed to go with my other slide. Oh, well. The slide about probably the reevaluating one, or the one where I said focus on your strengths and your strengths and not your weaknesses. But I love this. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. I think that went with like the reevaluating. Do what you know to do. And then if you hear of a great idea, implement it. See if it works. And, continue to get better. But don't get paralyzed because you're so worried about all the extra things you could be doing. Do what you know to do. And then if you hear about something great, let's implement it. Let's try it. I never actually went through these slides on the real team call because it didn't work. So I'll just leave this slide up, but we're not really to it yet. A day in the life. So that's great, Dara. It's great. Those are great tips, but how does this really fit in? So I can't really do a day in the life as much of a week in the life. So for me, honestly, I don't have a daily power hour. I have like a Monday power week, 2 days a week. And this didn't start till January, in fairness. Until January, I had my twin boys home every single day with me. But January, I did start sending them to school with their sister. So they're gone 2 days a week, all day. So I take Mondays and I knock out the majority of my work for the week. I do the little things like the Shakeology reminders to customers or, my customer leads. I check in with my challengers. I listen to one of the calls for the week. I do my Success Club board. I do my connections. So instead of doing like 2, connections or invites a day, I do them all in one day because that's when I have time. So again, you need to look at your week, find your biggest block of time. And I like knocking most of my work out in that big block of time. That's what works for me. And then the rest of the week is kind of just maintenance. I answer my messages daily. I post on Facebook daily. I do my follow-ups as needed. If I know a group's coming up and I haven't heard back from this person, I do my follow-up. I post even on that Monday, I'll create my bigger, invite posts or whatever for the week if I have one. But then I'll schedule it, of course, on the appropriate day, or I'll post it on the right day. I check in with a few coaches daily. And as time permits, I might listen to another call or do an extra call. But that's just, again, kind of an as time permits thing. I do 1 diamond Zoom call every other week with my diamonds, and that's during the day on Mondays. And then I do 1 team call every other week with my team. So this would be this is y'all's team call. I do 1 of these every other week. Then my time savers is, unlike Megan, my team calls, again, are not training. They're just to connect. And we just talk about, we usually do high-low of the week or month for our business and any questions. I'm not creating slides for those calls. I'm not coming up with training content. That's just something, again, I realized I needed to not do. To me, the Bombshell Dynasty calls and the National Wake Up calls were more than enough that most people could keep up with without also me having to come up with new stuff for them. So that's a way I save time. I also, you guys have such a good leader in Megan. I don't have consistent one-on-one calls with my coaches. And I'm not saying, that's actually one of the things I've reevaluated a lot. Maybe that's something I need to do more, but that's something I'm still working through. But the point is, my coaches reach out to me as they need, whether through Facebook Messenger or if they need to schedule a call, by all means. So again, I'm not saying you shouldn't do one-on-one calls and they're a waste of time. That's the last thing I'm saying. But for me, that's just something I haven't yet consistently started doing. And so I guess as long as my team's doing okay, I figure, hey, why open Pandora's box? But anyways, that is a way that I, save time. I also, outside of Megan, my success partner, and we haven't been very consistent lately, but our goal is to talk once a week. It might be more twice a month lately, but I don't spend a lot of time chatting with other coaches. I'm not in all of there's a lot of groups you can be in, and coaches will go back and forth and chat. And don't get me wrong, I hope one day when all my kids are in school, I can be on some of those mastermind calls and work more closely with other coaches. But right now, this season of life, that's not going to bring in my income. Could I get some great ideas that eventually could make me build? Yes, absolutely. So again, I'm not saying those aren't valuable. I mean, some coaches would say that's been the most important thing for my business is my success partnerships or my mastermind. So to those coaches, I believe them. That's again, what has worked for them. For me, I think it can be very easy to get where you're spending all day talking to other coaches and not new customers. So I just think you need to be careful of that in the groups, whether again, it's Facebook groups or group chats or whatever. And again, as you know, there's so many different calls and stuff you could be on or groups you could be in. So just be careful of that. Another one, I do not reinvent the wheel. I'm a 5-star Diamond Elite coach like Megan. And if there's a training out there, I am going to use that training before I spend time coming up with my own. Yes, I will customize it to me if I think I need to. But otherwise, I'm just going to use it. Why wouldn't I trust what Brittany Leggett puts out there to her coaches or Melanie Mitro puts out to her coaches? They are clearly doing something right. So don't get too caught up in feeling like it has to be, again, if you have something you're passionate about and it's a training you want your team to have, go for it. But if there's something out there and you don't really know what you even want to say, use someone else's and see how that works. So in conclusion, I really want to bring us back to the start. I want you to think about, where do you really want to go? What is the vision for your life? And not just Beachbody, your whole life. What do you want your marriage to look like? What kind of kids do you want to raise? What kind of freedoms do you want? Beachbody should only be part of that vision. And if Beachbody is only a part of that vision, then Beachbody cannot be your only priority. You cannot let Beachbody suck up all your time, because then all the rest of those visions you had are going to be pointless. So I love this quote that's been up here forever. You've probably read it already. It's not enough to be busy, so are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about? And I think, again, it's so easy to be busy in this business, but what are you busy doing? Are you busy meeting new people and establishing relationships and growing your team? Or are you busy in other groups, talking to other coaches, or spending too much time making pretty graphics? And, so anyways, I love that. I want to challenge you to make sure you are busy doing the most important things for your business, but also for your life, for yourself, for your family, and for your own happiness. So don't feel like you're being a bad business person by watching Netflix. No, just kidding. You do need to get, again, those bare minimum things done, but you also need to give yourself grace and not push all of that to the side. So that's it. I'll stop the share. There you go.
That was so awesome. Oh my gosh, I can't even see myself. That was so great. I mean, she basically, Dara just completely took there's so many, I kind of say it all the time, especially in my new coach trainings. I always say busiest people, I feel are really great at this business because they know how to prioritize. And I don't mean, like Dara said, it's not about goal setting. It's prioritizing and setting your goals around your priorities. And because there's so many bright, shiny objects. Oh, I want to get involved in this coach training, this coach group. You can get sucked into so many things. You go into, whenever you become a diamond, you go into the Dynasty Diamond group, and then you're you're expanded into this network of diamonds. They're doing all these trainings and all these pushes and all these things. And it's just like, you can be so distracted so easily. And like Dara said, it's just like, you have to really sit there and think, is this really helping my business? Is this helping me provide income to help people change their lives? Or is this just really like and I'm so guilty of this. Like, I'm like, number one, like Dara will even like, it's like when I talk to her, I always get recentered because I'm like, okay, I'm doing like way too much excess stuff that is so not like productive necessarily, but it's like that excess thing, like the excess things. So I'll be like, I'm so busy, I don't understand. And it's like, and then she kind of like recenters me because I realize like I easily, and just because I naturally have ADD, like I see that I get really blinded by those bright shiny objects, and Dara brings me back. Even when my focus would become, when we first started our partnership, when I'd start losing my focus, where I'd start focusing on my income, she'd bring me back to like my center of like why we really do this. Because if you lose your center and you start only focusing on money, you won't go where you want to go with this business. Can you agree, Dara? I mean, if you don't really genuinely have that heart for like wanting to help people and you're only focused on like income and numbers, you will, if your why is central around income, I don't know. I feel like it just won't work for you. Do you guys have any questions for Dara? Anybody?
I'm here.
I think it was just like such a great call for so many people to hear a different perspective, just to know that you guys don't have to consume, your life. And she works her business very different ways than I do. And that just goes to show you, we all do it differently, but you can have great success, Ash?
I want to know what program Dara did after having the twins.
You did X3, didn't you?
I did. I did
X3 after Della.
I did P90 X3, and I think I just was telling someone over. I think probably any program would have, it's just putting in the time and the work, and but I love X3. I know it's not as popular now. There's so much more that's come out since then, but I really liked it. I think I like Tony Horton. I think I love his approach to working out. And, I think he's very well balanced all around if he can handle his talking. Which I also kind of like.
You love it. I did X3. I know Francie's a big fan of Tony as well. But
yeah.
I did that postpartum as well.
Yeah, I liked it. But I mean, again, I think any program that's focuses a little bit on cardio and a little bit on resistance is going to be really good. And you definitely want, T25 is so cardio based. I love for like that quick cardio fix, but I think you need a little more of that resistance, especially, after you're pregnant, you're so soft and smushy and don't need to tell you, do I? So I think having the mix of resistance and the cardio is really, really important.
Right. Definitely, for sure. Like muscle burns fat, and he brings you that great balance for sure. And his diet's not like really too restrictive in any way, I don't think. So.
You guys have so many people on your calls, Megan. I'm so impressed.
Oh, girl, they don't show up when I'm there.
Well.
And it's just me on the call, like maybe 10 people show up. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, thank you guys, but that's still very impressive.
But, okay. Does anybody else? Yes, definitely the social media time suck. But see, that's the whole thing is just like Dara said, you really have to go with your strengths and, remember you're not going to work the business like everyone else, but also, we do provide you guys one thing we do have, and Dara and I have the same upline coach. We come from the same mentor groups where we have the same leadership. We're providing you with success through duplication. And that's why you guys don't have to go and reinvent the wheel and create trainings from scratch. And when we're telling you things, we aren't trying to manage you. We're not trying to micromanage anybody. We're trying to share with you what has worked for coach after successful coach, elite coach. We're just passing on resources and tools that have worked and worked, and they're proven to work. It's not like we're sitting here trying to say like, oh, we know it all. We're giving you what has worked for coach after coach after coach, and then has worked for us, and we're passing it along. It's not like a pride thing. It's not oh, Megan and Dara figured this out, and now we're pushing it on to you. We're just giving you what worked. Maybe we're putting a little of our own personal tweak on it, but our team is the most successful team. The Bombshell Dynasty is the most successful team in all of Beachbody, hands down, no doubt about it. Like the most successful network for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Dream Team is part of our network technically. So, I mean, if you really want to get like technical about it. I'm just saying, but like, so that's all I'm saying. It's just like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And that's one thing we stress when we bring you guys into like the sneak peeks and stuff. But Dara, I can't thank you enough for bringing in your simple ways and showing everybody how not complicated this business can be. And very thankful for you taking the call as our guest host tonight. And I know that everybody else was as well.
Thank you. No, I really, 9:15, I'm usually like zoned out to Netflix.
I know,
this
usually
was a big sacrifice. I'd only do it for Megan. But I really enjoyed it. I did. I always enjoy these calls more than like I think I am. I think there's this like apprehension going into it, but this was really great. And something else I want to say real quick, and this is something I also tell Megan, so you can blame me if you feel like she's not giving you as much attention. Invest in your business first, especially as you start growing a team. That's so exciting, but you can't let those vital behaviors for your own business go. And it's so easy to do as you start growing and you're trying to be a better leader. But you got to lead by example. And so I think that's something else she's always said, like, you're so good at that. Like I, get my Success Club points in first, I find, and then I feel like I'm free to truly help my team grow. And, so as you guys are growing, always keep selfishly, like, do your business first, do what you need to do for your business first. And then you're going to be more free to pour into your team. So anyways, I just thought of that because that's a conversation Megan and I have a lot because she really loves you guys and wants to see you succeed. So I have to remind her to be a little more selfish sometimes. But anyway, thanks for having me, Megan.
Right,
and again, I'm so super impressed by the numbers on this call. So I appreciate you guys showing up tonight and hope you enjoyed it.
So much. All right, guys. Well, I will see you next week for our closeout of the month. All right.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.